I have been talking about doing this for a really long time, and I finally got around to doing it. So before, if you remember, up on the top right corner of my master section, I had this WMD Overseer, which is excellent for high pass DJ style, high pass, low pass. It also has a tilt. It has resonance that you can dial in for the cues on those, the high pass and the low pass. And one of the critical features of it is that resonance, so that once you start low cutting and you go to the high pass, you don't lose power as you go up in the curve, right? Because if you don't have any resonance, the audio will just sound weak. So I tried it out with the scalpel and it works. And actually, I think it works better than the Overseer for the purpose that I have it, which is just pretty much just for a high pass. So let's check this out real quick. So it does the job well, and I wanted to check it to make sure that, since it's a digital module, I didn't want to lose any analog mojo. So I checked it, I bypassed it, which we can do here just to show you. And it doesn't add or take away anything, which is good. So one of the other things that I had to do, and I'll tell you how I did this setup here, is as it gets to the top, which is I think it's either the first or the 9th preset. There's 9 LEDs here, and you basically morph between the 9 presets. As you see that LED going up and down, that's just morphing between the presets. So I have it set so bottom is flat. There's nothing happening, and then as I turn up the CV, it goes through the presets, and the top preset is a low cut with some boost in another band, because just the low cut was pretty weak, so I had to add some like a little notch where the filter ended up at, where it sounded good. Really, I don't know if it's exactly where the low cut is, but it added a little notch there, gives it a little bump, and that gives it a little more energy. So I'm going to show you, let's do the bypass test first. So let's check that out. Okay. And the second thing is I want to show you what this little bump sounds like, because when it hits this eighth preset, this 8th LED, that's what it sounds like without the additional notch. And then when you bump it up to the top, you're going to hear that little extra bump, and that keeps the energy level up even though the lows are cut. So let's check that out. So that's just a little trick you can do with a scalpel. I think it's better suited for this purpose if all you need is one or the other. Now, another way to set this up would be you would put the middle preset. This is also assuming that, like, I'm using the 410 to CV control the morph feature, which is just going between the presets. If I wanted to also have the high cut with the low pass, I could set the middle EQ up as what I have the top one set as now, and then so it would get that low cut thing happening. And then if I wanted low pass, you could do the opposite and put it on the top preset. So when I hit the top, it does low cut instead, or vice versa. I mean, you can set it up however you want. That's just the ways I'm thinking about how I could do it. But I really enjoy just pushing this fader all the way up and then bringing it down all the way, and not having to think about, I want to bump it up halfway to get the amount of low cut proper, the proper amount. So I'm just gonna roll with this for a while and see how that goes. And the other thing that is like an additional bonus why I think the scalpel is better than the Overseer, is there's no click when you bypass it. So on the Overseer, I believe because it's analog, and there's some circuitry that's not set up in there, because there's other analog modules that you can bypass. When you bypass, there's no click. It'll always bypass at the zero crossing. And the scalpel bypasses at the zero crossing. Or at least that's what I perceive, because there's no click. I can bypass and engage it a bunch of times, and there's literally zero clicks. So let's do that test real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. So that's a really cool additional bonus, because what that lets me do is if for whatever reason, if I wanted to, I could just throw this up here and then just use the bypass to cut it as well. Another thing you could do is, if you didn't have a CV module like the 410, again, I just like this slider feel, like on DJ mixers. It's the same thing when you drop in the next track and you're ready to bang it in, you just like slam that fader all the way up, right? Or at least if you set your gain stages properly, that's what you can do. So I like that feel, just throwing it up and then bringing it back down. But if you didn't have this module, and let's say you were using a minimal setup and you wanted to use just this, what you could do is you could have that preset engaged where the cut is engaged, and then just turn the EQ off, and then you're back to normal. So you would just leave it off for normal and then engage it and then take it back. So let's check that out just so you can hear, just for the sake of doing it. Okay, and then the last thing to note, just like the Overseer, it engages as soon as you press it down, but it disengages on the up. So engaged. Let me see. Oh, no, actually it engages on the up when the button is let go both times. So you can get your timing pretty precise there. So let's just do that real quick, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, cool. So that wraps this thing up. Yeah, I just wanted to show that feature. It turned out better than I thought initially when I just first set up that low cut with just the bottom band, the bottom shelf, just cutting it. I was kind of like, oh, because I turned the resonance, the Q of the bottom band all the way up, and it wasn't giving me the resonance that I'm used to. So, just like with anything else, there's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. And I just thought, well, why don't I just set up that next band up to give it a little bump at the resonant, the filter, whatever the frequency is, or at least what I perceived with my ears as being that frequency. And sure enough, it worked. So that's the lesson here today. Use what you have first and see if you can accomplish your goal, whatever it is. And you might be surprised with the results. So as a result of this, I've gained an additional 4 HP, and I don't have to use this module anymore. It's a great module. It has a bunch of features. That's the thing though, is like it has a bunch of features that I don't need or I don't use regularly. So that frees the space up, and then I could potentially put that in another rack or sell it and get something else that I'm gonna use. So all right, just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.